So in this video, we're going to look at how to multiply some big numbers, and we're going to look at whole numbers and decimals. Now, the method I am going to use is maybe a little bit unfamiliar to some people. It's called Napier's bones, and I find this one the best to use because it helps us practice our times tables as well. So let's start off with something simple. We're going to do 22 multiplied by 33. So really straightforward. Now, the way we're going to set this out is we're going to start with a multiplication grid, and we are going to draw it, and we're going to be doing a 2 by 2 grid because we've got a 2-digit number multiplying by a 2-digit number. So we write it out like this with the two numbers on the top and on the right. And most importantly, though, we're going to draw some diagonal lines across each of the 4 boxes, just like that. Okay, so from here, the next plan is we're going to start to use our times tables. So in the top right box, we're going to multiply the two numbers that are on the sides. So 2 times 3 is 6. And we write any tens at the top and any units at the bottom. So 2 times 3 is 6. That's that 2 and that 3 multiplying together to make the numbers inside the box. And of course, I've done this on purpose. It's a nice and simple and straightforward. 2 times 3 is still 6. So we can write that in there. And again, it's those two that are multiplying together to make that 6. 2 times 3 is 6, can go there as well. And 2 times 3 is 6, can go there. Right, okay, so we've created this situation. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add diagonally. Now, when I say add diagonally, what I mean is we're going to add in these rows, right? Okay, we're going to add diagonally all the way through this, and we're going to see what happens when we do that. Right, okay, so we're always going to start from the right. So the first thing we're going to have is this one here. Well, this is going to give us a 6. Now, 6 and 0 and 6 gives us a 12. But what we don't do, we don't write 12 there. Just like when you're adding, we're going to write the units there, the 2 from the 12, and we're going to carry the 1 across. So we're going to write that here. Okay, so now I need to remember to add a 1 in when I'm adding this next row. So we're going to have a 0, a 1, a 6, and a 0. Well, that's going to add to 7. So I write 7 there. Finally, I've just got a 0 on its own at the end. Well, I'm not going to write that down. It's just a 0, but it's going to get in the way of our answer. And actually, our answer has revealed itself. Our answer to this question is here. It is 726. So if I want to do 22 times 33, the answer is 726. So let's go on and see if we can do a bit more complicated question than that one. Now let's use some bigger numbers. So this time, let's try 87 multiplied by 94. So we're going to set this up in an identical fashion with our 2 by 2 grid, and we're going to write 87 there and 94 there. And of course, we could write the 94 at the top and the 87 along the side. It doesn't matter, but we will start with this one. Okay, so let's start working out what goes in the grid. So we'll start with 7 times 9. Well, that is going to be 63. 8 times 9 is 72. 7 times 4 is 28. And 8 times 4 is 32. So we're writing these in those boxes, and what goes in there is on the left and above, on the right and above of the particular box. Okay, so now is the time to start adding diagonally, and we're going to be thinking about adding along those lines. So starting from the right-hand side again, we've just got an 8 here. Moving across, we've got a 3 plus a 2 plus a 2. Well, that will make a 7. Moving across again, we've got a 6 and a 2 and a 3. Well, that will make 11. And remember, we write the units there, but because it's an 11, we carry any 10s across to the next column. And then we've got a 1 and a 7. Well, that is going to make us an 8. So what is the answer to 87 times 94? It is 8,178. The answer, of course, is here. Now, We've got the hang of that, hopefully. Let's expand this idea and look at some different size numbers and see if we can still apply the same techniques. So what about if we did 3,094 multiplied by 36? Well, we can do this in exactly the same way. We're going to need a grid of different dimensions. So we could use a 4 by 2 or a 2 by 4 grid. Let's draw one out. So, and again, I am choosing the size of this grid based on the number of digits in each of these numbers. And that way I can always write it just like this. Okay, so remember to join diagonal lines across each one of the boxes, corner to corner, corner to corner. And then we're ready to do some multiplication. So let's run through this. Hopefully you've got your times tables understood. We are going to do the following. So 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 6 is 24. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 6 is 54. Now anything in the 0 times table is just going to be 0. 3 times 3 is 9. Remember to write the units only on the right, on the bottom, and any tens on the top. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, now we are ready to add those through those diagonals. So here we go. From the right-hand side, we're going to have a 4. 4 and a 2 and a 2 is an 8. 1 and 7 and 5 and 0. Well, that is going to make us a 13. So we'll carry the 1 across. We've got a 2 and an 8 and that 1. Well, that's going to make an 11. And now we've got a 1, a 1 and a 9. Well, that will also make an 11. So we'll finally have to add that 1 in at the end. And there is our answer. So 3,094 times 36 is 111,384. 111,384. So final question now. Let's see how we can use this technique to do some decimal multiplication. So let's take an example. Let's do 3.96 multiplied by 48.1. So we're going to start off in the same process. We're going to write out the same style of question. This will be a 3 by 3 grid because both of these numbers have 3 digits. So let's draw out the 3 by 3 grid. And we'll place one number on the top and another number on the side. And notice that I'm writing the decimal places sort of along the lines there. Okay, so now we're going to join these up corner to corner, corner to corner, corner to corner. Be very careful. Most people, if they're going to make a mistake, make the mistake by joining up the wrong thing. Every box is split into only 2 pieces. Okay, now it's exactly the same as always. We're going to do that multiplication. So 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 1 is 6. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 1 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, and just as always, we are going to add diagonally, right? We're going to be adding along these lines. Okay, so from the right, we're going to have a 6. The 9, the 0, and the 8 is going to make 17. So I'm going to carry that 1 over from the tens column. Now we've got a 4, a 4, a 2, a 3, and a 1. Well, that makes 14. Now we've got a 6 and a 2. That makes 8 plus the 7. That's 15. Plus the 4 and the 1. That is going to be 20. So we're going to carry a 2 across this time. The 2, the 2, the 2, and the 3, well, that will make a 9, and then we've got a 1 here. Now, the answer is not 190,476 because at the moment, we haven't considered the decimals. So what we're going to do is this. You get your fingers, and you put a finger on that decimal and a finger on that one, and you move them across and down until they meet. So they're going to meet at that position there. Now, once they meet, we follow the diagonal line And what this does is it creates a nice arrow pointing to exactly where the decimal place should be. So there it is. And so what is 3.96 times 48.1? Well, it is 190.476. And that is how we work with decimals. Now, just hypothetically, if we had the decimal place not perhaps there on the 48 or on the 48.1, and rather it was just 481, then what we would do is we would sort of put the decimal place here in our diagram. So if that was the case, we would go along and down from there, and this would tell us where that decimal place would be in that case. Okay, hope you've followed that, and I hope that helps you do some multiplication. Good luck.